everywhere that you want to. Like in Skyrim, you can basically move in any fucking direction you want to, without, you know, walking into like a barrier or anything. And in Enderal, you're like, oh shit, well here's a cliff I can't jump down, or here's a mountain I can't go up. Yeah, you're always kind of forced into corridors, and there's not a lot to find throughout the corridor. It kind of defeats the whole purpose of exploration, which in turn defeats the entire purpose of disabling fast travel.
Yep. I just killed like 3 dogs.
Well then, guess you're a cat person then.
I am, yes, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm more of a cat person myself, mostly because, you know, cats haven't tried to kill me, and a dog has, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That kind of changes your perspective sometimes.
Kind of.
Dogs, obviously, but even though I'm not like terrified when I see like a big dog or anything, like I'm not scared to shit. But for some reason, I get just this tiny bit nervous when I see a dog that's you know, that's at least, you know, tall enough to not look me in the eye. But when his head like starts to go up above like my hips, I kind of start to get just a tiny bit nervous. And the problem with dogs is that dogs can pick up on that kind of shit. They can sense if someone's nervous, and then if you're nervous, they kind of get nervous too, which means they get kind of shaky, and they look at you like, what the hell are you doing? They don't really understand why you're nervous, because they don't see themselves as terrifying anyway. So when they see like someone that they believe is a much more deadly a predator, because, you know, that's the way some dogs perceive humans, and this apex predator is nervous around them, and then they start to get nervous, and then they get into the defensive mode basically. So sometimes I do have this little issue where I move up to a big dog, or someone walks by, or I'm visiting someone that has a big dog. I suddenly just approach it, and this dog just starts not barking, but kind of grumbling at me like, keep back, you piece of shit. And I'm the only person this dog does it to. And no one can kind of understand why, but I think this is the explanation as to why. Even though I'm not terrified of dogs by any stretch of the imagination, because, you know, I still have them. I always have this little nervousity, which the dogs pick up on, and in turn makes me less compatible with big dogs. Like small dogs like mine, well, I've got one fairly big one. It's not big by any stretch of the imagination. The one that jumped at you that one time.
You're like,
I'm not scared of that guy at all. Cause if you look at that dog, you can sense the happiness this dog has. Like, it's just a bundle of joy. A overly happy bundle of joy. You gotta get carried away sometimes.
Yeah, no, I noticed that.
Your neck if you could.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like anytime someone walks into the house, even though he's seen you like 1,000 times, he's like, "Oh my God, look, it's you!" And even though you've never seen him, he's like, "Oh my God, look at you!" And you're like, "Oh my God, it's you." Here we go again. And then there's the tiny one, like the really tiny one that doesn't even know how to be a dog. Sometimes I really do believe that this dog believes he's actually a fucking mole rat or some shit. He just doesn't do fuck all. All he does is kind of drool and puke and just lay around, not do shit, and bury his face in the sand, and then walk. And after doing that, his face is all muddy. And then he decides that it will be a good time to come give you some kisses, because that's what you want, being all muddied up. Oh, thanks, dude. Appreciate it. And then there's my 2 fucking cats, which, well, they're 3 now. Used to be 4, but that one of them got brutally fucking murdered. So, fun times. But yeah, we've got this new kitten now. This new kitten basically is a demon from hell, so at least that's all how my father describes it. So that's fun. Cats definitely aren't perfect, and that one sure as shit isn't. Like this is the kind of cat that when you tell her not to do something, this cat thinks to herself, "Oh, so if I do this, that annoys you. Oh, that's good." Which to me is the most perfect thing a cat can do. It's like, "Oh God, I love you already. You're perfect." She's really nice and cute, and she just likes to, you know, play with you. And when a normal cat takes play, you're thinking like, "Oh, you'll cuddle and you'll tickle her, and then you use one of those plushies on like a string to play with her." No, when this kitten thinks the word play, she's like thinking mind games. It's like, oh, I'm gonna fuck someone's day up with this.
Got
Like,
a lot of cats.
That'd be days in which she just walks up to you and just starts meowing, and then you're like, hey, what's up? And then she just looks at you, stops meowing, walks over to somewhere, starts meowing over there. So you're like, oh, you want me to come and look over there? And then the second, the very fucking second you get up to look, she runs over and takes your seat. And like, you motherfucker, you piece of shit. Like,
Shimmering Grove.
I love it, but holy shit. I can imagine if you live there on a daily basis, that's gonna drive you insane. And she's the complete opposite of the other two cats I have, because I've got one of them, the one that's, you know, decided that the tail wasn't worthy of having. She's basically one of those tailless cats now. That cat, you might as well not even be that cat. You never see her, ever. She basically comes out about one time a week to basically eat all our food, and then she fucks off for an entire week. Basically the most useless cat in existence. I'm pretty sure she's really nice, and I'm pretty sure that the people she's always with think that she's really nice, but yeah, we might as well not have a cat. And then there's the third one, Miss Twizzle, and she's basically scared of fucking everything and everyone. Don't know why, because basically since we moved here, she's basically scared of literally fucking everything. Like, you could blink unexpectedly and she'll jump up. Like, what the hell were you doing? I'm fucking breathing, blinking, doing normal human stuff. Like, what? She look at you like, what? Why?
Impossible!
Never used to be the case. This used to be one of those cats that if you walked into the house as a complete stranger, you're like, hey, look at you! And she basically rolls up to you like, hey, look, I'm a cat, you can cuddle me. And if you don't, she gets really disappointed. But now, if you walk into the house and she doesn't know you, like, she's gone. She locks herself up in the attic and she won't ever come down. The same goes with the dogs. Like, she's terrified, absolutely fucking terrified of the dogs. And basically anything. Which is kind of sad, because this cat used to be really outgoing and friendly, and now she basically just locks herself away with every opportunity she gets. But I don't really mind, because the cat hasn't shown symptoms of, you know, being depressed or unhappy or some shit. And because I spend most of my time, you know, on the upper floors in my room, usually more often than not the cat's with me in the room. I basically have my own cat, which I love.
Aww.
Like, usually, like, I walk up to the stairs to go to my room, and yeah, the second set of stairs has like gaps in it, so you can kind of see through it. And this cat hears me coming up, runs up to the stairs with the gaps in it, and tries to like nick me with their paws as I come up. So sometimes I just walk up the stairs, and suddenly there's a cat on my head. Like, well done. Hello.
Aww.
And when I walk into my room, like, I can hear the little steps. Like, she just runs down the steps just to be able to sneak into my room before I close the door. It's like a little game we have now. And then when she's in my room, there's a couple of things that can happen. One is she decides that I'm unworthy of her attention and just sits in the window. She just stares outside. I have to open the window, otherwise she won't do it. But she won't actually ever go outside. She'll just sit in the window and chirp at some birds. Basically having like a fucking musical event next to me. First there's fucking bird chirping the fuck away, and then my cat decides that, you know, she's the next fucking coming of Taylor Swift, and just starts singing. Oh, fucking great, you're trying to focus on your video game, like, you want to push that thing out the window, like, fucking don't move. The second thing is even more fucking annoying. Like, when she decides that you are worthy of her attention, that's when you should be fearful, because if you're busy with something, she just walks up to your desk, sits in front of your screen, and she's like, "Hey, what up? I'm a cat, pet me." And then you give her some kisses and cuddles. And then she decides that, you know what, that was enough, bitch. She'll just sit continuously in front of your desk. And the second you try to you pick her up and you throw her off, that's when war starts. She'll find ways to jump up your desk, and it's like she knows that your keyboard is the most valuable thing you have, because that fucks up your, you know, whatever it is you're doing. And she'll find any excuse to plant that fat butt on that keyboard and press every fucking button she could find. The third thing is when she decides that, you know what, I need some attention, but I'm not gonna be a cunt today. She'll just randomly jump on my lap as I'm sitting here and just sit there for eternity, basically. And if I move, she'll look up like, hey bitch, you sit still. And you're alright, shit, I'm not gonna move. Don't want to piss off the cat. Basically, you're locked and confined to your chair, like you're unable to move, because the second you do, you're gonna hurt the cat's feelings. So yeah, you're locked in your chair now for eternity. That's fun. And then the fourth thing, and my favorite thing, is when she decides, you know what, I'm just gonna be here and not piss you the fuck off or annoy you. She's gonna find a nice quiet spot, just lay down, just do cat things, and mind her own business without, you know, singing along with the birds or making love to my keyboard.
Making some very strange love to your keyboard.
Fucking hell, she just fucking plants it. I swear to God she does it on purpose, because sometimes she just sits down on my keyboard and I don't react well enough, because she just so happens to be sitting down on buttons that don't do shit. And I can swear to God, when she notices this, she'll stand up and go sit somewhere else on the keyboard until she gets the reaction she wants. This cat knows what it's doing. Piece of shit.
Oh, that is cute.
It really is, but it also is really pissing me the fuck off sometimes. Like, we used to have a cat which was deaf, so whenever, you know, this cat was pretty easy to startle, and because she was kind of a little aggressive little piece of shit, whenever she startled, you could kiss your hands goodbye. She'll just annihilate them. And you can startle her pretty easily. Like if she's sitting on next to you, you start to pet her. She can literally not hear it coming, and if she's not looking at you, she'll be startled by the sudden touch. So and you know, the next thing that happens is you lose a finger. That's great. I can't believe how many people came over to my house and cursed that cat's name to the depths of hell. Because they were like, hey, look, a kitty pet, and then suddenly they don't have a hand anymore. And this cat was the most difficult cat ever to work with, because, you know, she decides to plant herself down somewhere, and you know, like if I pick her up, I lose my arms. Like I'm not gonna pick that fucking cat up. And well, if I stand up or do anything unexpectedly, she'll basically kill me. That's great. Normally she's kind of on her own, doesn't really seek the comfort of people, but sometimes she'll commit atrocities, like basically fucking war crimes, by, you know, when you're sleeping, she'll come up and go sleep on your bed, which is unexpectedly a really awful way to wake up when suddenly your 2 feet are being annihilated while you were sleeping, because she decided it would be a good idea to rest down near your bed and near your foot end, and obviously in your sleep you move around a bit. Well, wakey motherfucker, where are your toes? I don't know. God damn it. That was the most awful way to wake up ever. Like I'd end up having to actually, you know, that's how because I used to always kind of keep my door like on a little bit of a opening, because I used to be one of those kids that I'd feel a little bit safer when the door was just slightly ajar. And this was only when I was a kid, because I don't do it anymore, but I believe that cat was also the reason I stopped doing it. Every time that cat sneaks into my room, I can forget about living. And this cat was basically the alpha fucking predator of the street. Like every single cat in the entire neighborhood basically was terrified of this beast. She wasn't just a little aggressive. She was good. She was good at fucking shit up. Like she wasn't just doing it a lot. No, she was good at it probably because she did it a lot. And every time she'd go into a fight, like she'd fucking win. And anytime she'd go up against dogs and not show a sign of fear, and basically kick that dog's ass no matter how big it is. Like the dogs would run the fuck away from that cat, which was kind of fucking ironic, because this cat was pretty fucking old. This cat was older than I was at the time, so this was a pretty old beast. And we had this other dog at the time, which was basically the exact opposite of this cat. He was the most lovely person or lovely dog ever. Sometimes we still think of her as a person, because this dog was just that fucking smart. Like you always feel like you were talking to a person, because she would look at you, and you know from, you know, how she moves and how she reacts that she understands what you're saying, which is really fucking rare for an animal to do. Like you'd be able to tell her something without, you know, a exaggerate movement or yelling or anything, and then from that moment on she won't do it. Whatever it is you told her, like she won't do it, or she would do it if it's like something you want her to do. Really fucking smart. But also, just like the kitten my dad has, she loves to like make fun of things and play some mind games now and then. However, this dog eventually turned out to have like a little bit of a tumor problem going on. This was really awful for me to find out, because I was basically, the dog started to kind of stink a little bit, like a really foul fucking stench. And this was after we identified that she had like this tumor on like her stomach, which basically is this big fucking knob attached to her fucking stomach, which was not the greatest thing to look at. But then suddenly this one day she starts like stinking so fucking heavily I want to cut my own nose off. It cursed a lot. And I swear to God, I'm cuddling this dog and she rolls over to her belly. And I shit you not, I could look into her belly. Like there was just a hole. Just straight up into her belly. And that's where the scent was coming from. It's like, oh my God, I want to die now. Holy shit. That was the most awful thing I think I've ever seen. And that moment we realized like this dog is probably not gonna make it. So we had the appointment set up to, basically slice her throat, for lack of better terms. And then the day before, the guy came to basically commit homicide on my dog. The cat decided to die.
Oh yeah, you told me indeed.
Yeah, so here I am, you're still awake at night because I'm not really looking forward to the day that's coming. Because I have to basically have to watch my own dog be murdered. And then suddenly I just hear this weird basically this weird awful throw up noise that cats or dogs make where they're like and you're like, oh God, please no, shuffle them aside before they puke all over your floor. And I look around like thinking to myself like, is something dying behind me? Well, lo and behold, that was the cat basically tripping over her own ass dying. Well, that's great. That's just fucking fantastic. So here I am, being terrified of watching my dog die, watching my cat die at the same time. Well, that's fucking fantastic. But I didn't get any sleep at all that night, like none whatsoever, due to because I couldn't leave the cat alone, because he didn't just suffocate and just fall onto the floor dead. It took a while, and I decided, you know what, I'll find a pillow, lay down on the pillow, and just be with her until she passes. Because that's like the nicest thing I could do. I could just leave her there, but that's fucking awful. Like, why would you? So there I was watching over this dying cat until she eventually, passed away. And it took a while for my dad to kind of wake up, because I wasn't gonna wake him up, because I'm like, yeah, you'll see this when you come down. And I still remember his fucking face. He came down. He sees me sitting there like, what the fuck are you still doing up? I'm like, listen, you little fucking shit. You're leaving me here all alone with a cat. It's like, where's the cat? Well, that's a good question. Where is the cat? Well, the cat's right here underneath this fucking blanket. Like, oh my God, you're get the cat done. You're kidding me. Of all days you could possibly take to die, today was the day, the exact same day my dog was supposed to be put down. Well, that's fucking coincidence, isn't it?
That is not the best.
So I wrap up this cat as best I can in all kinds of blankets, so there's not just a dead cat laying on the floor. That's a little bit awkward to be around. So, and then when my dad comes to kind of sit next to me, he's looking at the cat like, well shit, that's unexpected. I'm like, yeah, quite unexpected indeed. And then the dog decides to make a move, because this is her chance. Like, this is the only opportunity she'll ever get her entire life, because her entire life is about a whole 2 hours at this point. She doesn't have a big entire life ready, so this is her last opportunity to stick it to this cat. She walks over, and her fluffy ass fucking tail just manages to latch onto one of these sticking the nails of this dead cat, and suddenly there's a dead cat flying through the room. And I swear to God, me and my dad just fucking lost it at that point. Because he was all sitting up, like he couldn't get anything to move there. So you see this cat in basically fetus position, just struggle over the fucking floor behind this dog. And like, oh my fucking God. I'm imagining the second the dog died and the dog went to animal heaven, like that dog got his ass beat. That cat was not gonna be taking shit. Fucking hell.
Oh God.
That was an experience in the house, I'll tell you that. And I can still remember the look on like the veterinarian that came to put down the dog as well, because we told them like, look, you have a cat as well, which is basically on the verge of dying. We don't want to sound horrible to basically make it a convenience thing, but could you just take a look at the cat and see, if it's passable to either keep her alive for a while or basically put her down as well. So he came in and he's like, I heard you had a cat. And I'm like, yeah, we had a cat. What? Yeah, she died. Like, when? Well, this morning. And he's like, what? It's that no.
So I've done 2 bounty quests already.
Well, that's good.
And I've explored some locations, killed some highwaymen. Oh yeah, I should have asked the mayor if he had seen anything, or like asked about the mayor about his wife or something. I should still do that with Unreal. I have completely ignored that because like these bounty quests.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good quest, by the way. I like it.
Alright, good to know.
To be fair, there aren't a lot of quests in this game that aren't good. They're all kind of... Even like the normal side missions are quite fucking interesting.
I like the bounties. I like just getting money for killing specific things.
I like money for murder.
I mean, can you remember, like, I was the one who killed Sven or Fiendel, and I actually got money from it.
Oh god, I mean, to be fair, nobody fucking likes those guys.
200 XP, and I received the money for the bounty. How much money do I have now? I have 508 pennies. Good, search for bounty quest. 240 for my next target. Damn, I have to go even further this time.
Well then.
Which I'm not going to do, I'm just going to cut off this quest right now. Also mayor about the problems with his wife. Find use the key for Yero's throne box. And find a place to grab a poem. Those are the three that I want to do.
Like that. You know, the entire quest objective of talk to the mayor to find out what the problems are with his wife. That sounds like the most none of your business quest ever.
Yeah.
It's like the most, you know, the most fuck right off kind of.
You're not from Riverville, are you? What do you want?
I heard your wife is sick.
Is that so? What does that have to do with yourself?
I might be able to help. For a price, of course.
Of course.
Yes.
And who are you? A Delgalar
So
incarnate?
you're role-playing as cards
Maybe
still.
you think you're smart trying to profit from my
Always.
wife's misery. But guess what? You aren't the first quack to try this. You should be ashamed. Now, be gone.
Speaking of Mr. Carter, I haven't
You
updated
again?
the
Listen,
story, at least for,
I'm really busy.
in actual story writing bits and
All right,
pieces.
then. I suppose it can't get
That
any
doesn't
worse
mean
than
I
it
haven't
already is.
not worked on it. I haven't
Let's
like
go
written
upstairs.
anything yet, but I've basically done a fuck ton of research. And when I say a fuck ton of research, I mean a fuck ton. Like I did an almost entire case study into basically ancient Egypt and also Norse mythology, which is a subject matter I'm going to be touching in the story. I don't know exactly when, but it is going to happen. And most importantly, like it all ties in with, you know, with the powers we have and where they came from. Because I feel like if we're going to, you know, add magical powers to like a semi-realistic apocalyptic wasteland, the explanation for said powers needs to be goddamn believable and pretty good. So I can make up this entire story about the god of Osiris and his old empire, and kind of relate that to, you know, actual events
keep
that
this
happened
short.
in the past.
For 3
So
moons
kind of
now,
make it more
Matilda
believable.
has been hearing
But I figured
voices.
to myself, like, no, I
Sometimes
need to
during the
actually
day,
go the extra mile.
sometimes at
I
night.
need to know everything there's to know about these
There
things,
is no pattern.
so I can find
According
as
to what
many
she
little
told me
nooks and
when she was
crannies
still
that
lucid,
I could use to
the voices seem
explain
to come
how
from
this,
the
you know,
sea.
could believably happen.
And it's a mixture
Obviously,
of
it's still
pleading,
magic powers. It
screams,
couldn't
and
happen, but
weeping.
you need to be able to set aside your
Maybe so.
disbelief, basically. You need to be able
Or
to put that
maybe it
aside.
is some kind of a ghost.
And
Yeah.
Or a magical
Basically just shoving
anomaly.
my magic into
Only
something.
Malthus knows.
You're going to need to have some,
Since
you
the
know,
night she
grounded
first heard
realism
the
to
voices,
basically back it
however,
up.
her health has been
And
worse.
one
I get
problem I
that, yeah.
came across
At
is
first
that
she lost her appetite.
eventually
Then she
we'll
started
figure out,
vomiting.
the characters
To
will
make
kind of
things
figure
even
out what
worse,
they are. It
she
will
now
take
has
a while to
fever
figure
that
out
gets
exactly
more
what
dire
they
by the
are.
minute.
It's basically going to last the entire
Further
story,
Villas is
basically, because that's
clueless.
the entire
And
plot
even
of the
the two
story is basically what
apothecarius
are these
quickly
powers
passed
and
through the
what
village,
the
said
hell
they
is the
don't know
point.
what's wrong with her. She has even
And that's
stopped
basically the
recognizing me
cycle in which
lately.
they're in, because we
And
used to have
talking to her has
like
become
the cycle of the
impossible.
hunters,
Yep.
which
I
has
don't
now
want to lie,
been
stranger.
basically removed and
I just
changed a
don't know
little
what to
bit.
do anymore.
There's still a
If it
somewhat
keeps
of a
going like
cycle,
this,
that's still a thing.
Matilda will not see
But the
the
cycle
turn
has
of the
kind of
year.
already been broken in a way. Because every single time, like the kingdom of Osiris himself was a pretty godly man,
No,
but not a
in the
god in
least.
which you'd
You know,
describe him as.
Matilda is such a good
He was still
person.
immortal, basically,
If it
but
is a ghost that
with
has
godly
possessed
fucking
her,
powers. Now,
then
where
it
those
must be a
powers came
cruel
from
one who
is a
only wants to
whole
see her
different
in
subject
pain.
matter, but that's at least where it
And
started.
if it's a disease,
Now,
the Malthus
Osiris
shall be
himself
damned
kind of
for
had a
making
little
her
bit of a
suffer
history
like this.
with his next door neighbor or some shit,
I'm sorry.
which turns out to be
I
this
should not have
demon.
said
Now,
that.
the entire
I-
identity of the demon is something we'll explore much further down the line, so I haven't really put much thought into it yet.
Maybe it helps if
Now,
you were there
this
for
here
one of
demon
these
has
Caesars.
a whole
I
bunch
don't
of
feel
followers.
comfortable about it.
Now,
but
these
if it
followers,
could help,
those are the
we have to
warlocks
give
or
it a
the
try.
dark druids, as they've previously been called. Now,
Just
these
come back in a few
warlocks,
hours' time. It
they
hasn't been
basically
too long
each
since she
have
had
like
the last
a
one.
small
Give me a
section
moment
of
with her
the
until then,
demon's
all right?
powers.
My brother
Just
Melville
as
will let you in
all
once
of
it's
us,
time.
the Sentinels, have a bit and piece of Osiris's powers. Problem is that these warlocks, one-on-one, are much more powerful.
Hello. You're the
because
visitor Dugar told me
basically
about,
the demon
right?
split his
The
powers in
Outlander?
4, whereas Osiris split his
Well,
powers
as
in
ready as
6,
we
so
can
meaning
be. As
one-on-one.
Dugar probably told
It's kind of
you,
an
the
unfair
seizures
fight.
happen
And
arbitrarily.
even between the
but
two of them,
more often
one-on-one,
around
it was an
this
unfair
time.
fight. Osiris
Come,
would get his
follow
ass
me.
kicked by this demon.
While I do
So he knew
appreciate
he
your
needed
endeavors,
some
I'm a
guardians to
little
help him through,
skeptical
just
as
like
to what good it will
the
do.
demon has his
Whatever
warlocks
is
or his
wrong
guardians
with Matilda
or whatever you would call
is
them.
not ordinary.
Yeah.
Which means
But
that
I
was the
suppose
birth of
some
the Sentinels.
chance is better than none,
Problem is
isn't
that
it?
even with their different powers, because basically Osiris had every single power that we all have. However, he had them all at the same time, whereas we all have unique, different versions of his powers.
You have a visitor, Dugar.
And every single time, the demon would try to basically
Meldor.
come up and
And
wipe
thank
out
you for not
all life
changing
on the
your mind.
planet.
It
And
could
so
happen
he
any minute
almost
now.
succeeded
Just take a
quite a
seat
couple
and
of
wait.
times.
And I warn
Because
you,
obviously we need to keep in
this
mind
is
like
not
why
going to
did
be pleasant.
Osiris' kingdom completely evaporate itself?
Matilda.
Well, because the demon won. Why did the Black Plague almost wipe out the entirety of Europe? Well, because the demon almost fucking won. And why were there so many other basically events that took place in the
And
history
here we go.
that are completely unexplained, and why did so many groups of people completely disappear? Take Atlantis for example. Like why the hell? How could this entire thing just disappear? Because the demon won. Because the demon is inherently more powerful. However, the demon could never completely win. Because the entire thing is, let's wipe out life on the entire planet into our little paradise. And they never succeeded completely. They almost got it. But in the end, the Sentinels always got out on top. Because the Sentinels were such a treasured group that even when they passed away and the next Sentinel would be found, this next Sentinel would be trained and prepared
So?
for what their purpose really was.
You mean
Which was
you
the
heard
last time
voices?
the
What are
demon
you,
came, which
some kind
was
of
basically the
medium?
Black Plague, which was about the year 16 something. I'm not too sure. 16, 15, not completely
Mantis?
sure when it was.
I don't know.
That's
but
when the
That was
Yeah,
the
the
fisherman, don't you remember?
things kind of
The one who
started hitting the
collaborated with
fan,
the brigands
and
was
some unique
killed when he
happenings
tried
started to
resist
occur.
the arrest.
One such happening was throughout the
yes,
generations
of
and
course.
decades
And
and
his
decades
companion
upon
drowned
fighting
herself
between the forces
afterwards.
of light and dark, the
Poor
powers
thing.
kind of started to
But
mix,
I don't understand.
and they'd
What,
create
by
a
the righteous path,
third
does
party
that have to
basically,
do
which
with
basically is one
Matilda's
person. And
sickness?
this one person had powers from both sides, making them stupidly powerful. And this person in the
Something tells
in
you
the
this,
last time
I
a demon
see.
came during the Black Plague,
If the
completely
circumstances were
wiped
any
out both
different,
groups.
I would take
Because
you for a
this
quack,
person
trying to win my favor. But
basically
you seem
became power
honest,
hungry and
and I
whatnot.
shouldn't leave anything untested.
And because they're stupid overpowered, they
Where
wiped
was
out
that
both
fisherman's
groups.
house again?
And they did it to such an extent that the
have a
next time
map.
those groups came to be,
Then give
the
it to him.
Sentinels and the Warlocks,
Yeah,
there was
of
no
course,
one
brother.
around
If
to
Pentus really has
prepare
anything
them or
to
tell
do
them
with
what they
this,
were or how
you
to
should
use
take
their
a look at
powers.
his old house.
So
It should be
only the
abandoned.
demon, because Osiris is long gone, only the
And now
demon knows,
excuse me, both of you.
what's up.
I-
And he and his
I need
forces
some
have been
time for
preparing and
myself.
preparing. And the story takes place after a giant plague and nuclear catastrophe, so they've already gone to town. The world's already almost completely destroyed.
Here,
We're already
this is the
losing.
map.
And
This
that's
house
the
isn't
part in
far
which
from the village,
our
but
story
you
now
should
starts
be
taking
careful
place.
nonetheless.
The Sentinels
I don't need to tell you that the animals
struggling
have grown
to
savage
try to at least
recently.
do something,
this red
anything,
madness or whatever they
while
call
also
it.
trying to figure out exactly what they are. Now, obviously, this is still a
Holy
pretty
Order.
vague and
By
pretty
the
quick
gods,
explanation
you
of
really
what
do have
what's actually
Outlander
going on.
written
There's a
all
lot
over your
more going
face.
on, but holy
But
shit!
no, I am not.
I've also not slept
I have,
pretty
as
well.
all the
I think I
magically
slept for a
gifted
whopping
have,
3 hours before I
passed the
woke up with a
walk to the
thundering
water,
headache.
But I didn't
And decided
qualify
not
to
to go
become
to
a
sleep at
keeper
all because I
or a
couldn't
magister.
fucking breathe and that
And to be
headache. So yeah,
honest,
let's
I
not
didn't
try to
want
kill
to
myself by
either.
sleeping.
Yeah.
But anyway, one thing I came across is that, well, if Osiris was real, what else could have been real? Like all the other Egyptian gods or gods of that era, could they then have been real instead? Like, because Osiris, obviously, there's a lot marking him in history, like a lot of wall murals that directly influence Osiris and other gods. So if Osiris is on those murals, what are all those other people? They must have then existed as well, which in their own way they did.
Nick, can you give me a quick minute?
One. Sure.
Right, thank you very much for watching this to the end of this recording session. Have a good night, and I will see you all during the next time. Good day!